Welcome to episode 49 of About the Cards podcast, live tonight on YouTube. As always, I'm joined by my co-host, Stefan Loeffler at Junkwax Twins, Ben Wilson at Our Trading Cards, and I'm Tim Shepler at Big Shep 79. We're a podcast by collectors for collectors, hoping to bring you a smart, insightful podcast discussing trading card collecting. We're live every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific on YouTube, as well as 10 Central. You can always follow us on Twitter at About the Cards. We're available on iTunes, Stitcher, and YouTube. Check out the new website, aboutthecards.wordpress.com. Uploaded a couple checklists today. Steph got his homework done. His file is up there, and there will be a couple reviews headed to the site, hopefully tomorrow, if not Friday. We have a special guest tonight, fellas, as we get into this. I want to get started because I'm very excited. We have Nick Wasika. Is that correct, Nick?
Wasika.
Wasika, sorry. Nick Wasika. He is a actual professional photographer, and he's got a project he's working on called The Card Show. So Nick describes himself as a photo addict with a sports problem. He works and plays and resides in the state of hockey, which is Minnesota. You've probably seen his work in Sports Illustrated, ESPN, Tops, and Upper Deck. I've used his photos just to name a few. So welcome, Nick. How are you doing?
Fantastic. Thanks for having me.
Well, we're very excited. One of our listeners, Once a Cub, sent us a tweet and said, hey, maybe you should try to get Nick on the show. And we checked out, and I love the promo. It got me really excited. I think I watched it 3 or 4 different times. Mm-hmm. And we DM'd, and right away you're like, hey, I can come on. And so we're very happy to have you on tonight. So give us a little background about yourself, how you became a sports photographer, and kind of where it's leading you to the card show.
Okay. Well, like growing up, I always wanted to do photography. And like in high school, you take the photography class and you do the deal. And the photos really never turned out the way I wanted to, like I envisioned in my head. So I'm like, okay, well, put that on pause for a little bit. And then after college, you get that first real job, bought a camera. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go at this. And same thing was happening. I take these photos, they weren't turning out the way I wanted them to. And I'm like, what's going on here? And this was like pre-boom internet, like it was still film. This wasn't digital. It was back in the days of film. So I went back to school at a technical college and I took photography classes. And it's a 2-year program, and I was there for a year. And there was 2 tracks you could do there. It's beer bottles and bags of chips in a studio, or like weddings and like that sort of thing. I'm like, no. I'm like, I got my basics down, but then when I talked to the people that ran the program, I'm like, look, I want to shoot rock stars and professional athletes. I'm like, can you do a class about that? Like, sports photojournalism, this, that, and the other thing. And they're like, no, but I'm begging them at this point. I'm like, there's other students here that want to learn this stuff. And they're like, nope, it's beer bottles and glamour shots. So I'm like, all right, fine. So the next day I emailed everybody within a 50-mile radius of where I lived at the time. Do you need an intern? Can I follow you around? Are you hiring? And out of those 50 emails, I got one back, and it was down in Faribault, Minnesota at the Daily News. And the guy's like, hey, bring some samples down. I didn't even have a book, like that. The nerdy kid on The Simpsons, like, here's your burger, Mr. Like, I was that guy going through this interview. I show up with a manila envelope and like 10 pictures in there. I'm like, here you go, sir. And I gave him this, and he flips through these photos. He's like, these are pretty good. I want you to go shoot this volleyball game tonight. I'm like, okay. And when he brings me back in the newsroom and he slides me this bag, and I look down and there's a Nikon D1X in it. And A, I've never shot a digital camera in my life. And B, that was probably like a $10,000 camera at the time. So I looked in the bag and I looked back at him. I'm like, do you have a manual for that? And he laughs and he hands me the manual. And I'm like, all right. He's like, you're going to this gym, do this, that, the other thing. All right, fine. I get to the gym super early and I just start reading this manual. Like, how do I do this? Right. So I shoot this volleyball game and I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to go back to the newsroom now. I'm like, I got the photos are in the camera. And the lady there goes like, okay, now you put them in Photoshop. I'd never done that before. I'm like, how do you do that? So she shows me. I put 4 or 5 photos in this folder, and the next day they picked 2 of them. They ran, and then so the day after that, the guy offered me a job. The day after that, I quit going to that technical college, and from that point on, it was all about just like hustling and learning on the way. So from shooting sports and poorly lit gyms and hockey rinks and things like that, it was youth sports, and then city pages, which is kind of like your Village Voice, your arts, culture, music rag that comes out once a week. I did a bunch of freelance work for them, shooting concerts and events around town. But it was always just like sports. That's what I wanted to do. And it was just like started snowballing, and one thing led to another. And then I eventually started working for a wire service. I land my first card, and I'm like, oh my God, I actually did the thing I wanted to do from the very beginning.
What was the first card?
It was I'll show you. Hold on, it's right here. It's on the mantle.
So I put
it was this one. This is the Topps Now Jose Barrios.
Nice.
And I didn't see it till like way after the fact, because the question I get the most often, like, hey, do you work for Topps, or do you work for the Twins or XYZ, team? No, I don't. I work for a wire service. And the way that works is, let's say, I don't know, well, the Angels were just in town, right? Well, nobody from the LA Times or Orange County, whatever paper, is going to send their photographers here because it's just not cost effective, right? So there's a handful of wire services, and it's Icon Sports Wire, who I work for, USA Today, who I work for. Then you have like AP, the Associated Press, and the big one is Getty Images. All right. So I get assigned to a game, and throughout the course of the game, I got to send a minimum, let's just say 20 photos. And these are things that relate to the game that's going on. So your starting pitchers, milestones, rookie debuts, who won, who lost, who hit the bomb, who struck out with the bases loaded, like the things that tell the story of the game, right? So I send those the day of the, right after the game or even during, right? And then the next day or two, I do what's called my second edit. So I go through and I look at anything that I think looks cool, I'll edit and I can send in too. And that's where a lot of these come from. It's second edits. These photos can be used for things like calendars, textbooks, advertisements, and of course, baseball, hockey, football cards. So
that's very cool.
Yeah.
Outstanding. So did you collect cards as a kid?
Yep. I had to go to Simi Valley, California in 1982 for a family wedding. And there was a guy across the street from my grandparents' house there, and they had baseball cards. And he's like, here, I don't want these anymore. And he gave them to me. And like, I was always baseball player, hockey kid, and that's all I wanted to do. And, I'm going through all these cards. I'm like, well, where do you get new ones? And bought my first box of cards down there, came home, 1983 happens, and I've been buying sets and cards and the whole bit ever since. There was a little lull in there in high school, but at some point or another, in some way, shape, or form, I was always collecting cards.
Who's your player or team that you collected back then, or was it just everything?
No, Rod Carew. I had a dog named Carew. He was fast. He couldn't hit, but he was really fast.
So the exact opposite.
Right. I remember the first single I bought, and I still have it. I have all of them. Was the '68 Top Rod Carew, and I bought it for $14. And back in 1985, 84, that era, like my grandmother, you spend how much money on a what? For this and that and the other thing. And I'm like, I still have it. It's one of my favorite cards. It goes, it's just, that was my thing.
Outstanding.
But is it the regular or is it the Milton Bradley?
What's that?
But is it the regular version or is it the Milton Bradley?
It's the regular version.
Awesome. What's your favorite sport to shoot?
Hockey. Well, it's it's like kids. You can't really have a favorite level for different reasons.
Sure.
I can watch like I brought my kid. We went and watched 4 baseball games today. Like I can watch baseball all day long. I love them for different reasons. I think I was premature on my hockey answer, but I need that seasonal change. I couldn't shoot hockey 12 months a year. And the same thing with baseball. I like that seasonal change, you know? And think about being a team photographer where you're shooting a minimum of 81 home games plus spring training and all that. Like, you have to get really creative or really weird, or else everything just starts looking like you've done it before because you have. You know, and then at that point, just like, oh, the same old photos, the same old photos, the same old photos. So I like being able to switch it up and do new things.
Nice. Do you have a venue that you've really enjoyed going and taking photos at?
I'm pretty spoiled here at Target Field. You know, great sight lines. There's 4 photo wells. You know, I've covered games and at Angel Stadium, City Field, Citizens, Wrigley, Miller Park, Kauffman, and you know, when you do a hockey game, you know what you're going to get because it's a hockey arena and there's cutouts. But then you go to these ballparks that are all different shapes and layouts, and the photo wells are in different positions, and it really challenges you, especially on your first visit, to be like, all right, now how am I going to cover this game? You know, an example of that, you know, at Target Field we have the inside photo wells, which are, you know, you got home plate, and they're right inside the dugouts, and then you go outside. Well, our photo wells here are right at the bases, but there are some parks where the photo wells are outside the bases, which makes getting ground balls photos difficult just because of your position and the angles and things like that. So people have different rules about where, you know, you can't be behind the plate or you can be behind the plate. So it's a challenge, it's fun, but you know, it also pushes you as a photographer to still be able to get the shots that you want in a different environment.
Have you had any near misses with the foul balls being that close to the field? And
yeah. In fact, you know, we had Ohtani here. Well, when the Angels were here just last week, as you know, just like Ichiro, the Japanese photographers, press pool will follow them around, and it's if Ichiro's not hitting, or Ohtani's not hitting, they're not really covering the game. One guy was on his phone, ball, hot shot. I stand up and put my hand up, you know, and like it would have hit him. I knocked it down. And he just sort of looked at me, laughed, and I'm pretty sure he said he owes me a beer in Japanese, at least in my head. That's what I think. But
of course,
he had somebody tell me later on that he got hit last year.
Tell me you'll take all of his pictures. Just say camera.
Yeah, right. But no, and then that was the thing. Like when I started doing the little videos I don't know if you watched any of the other ones on YouTube. I'm like, I told my partner that I'm doing the show with, I'm like, this ain't going to take off until I get plunked. You know, like I got to get hit by a ball or a puck's got to come through the cutout because that's what's going to get somebody's attention.
Which, did you see that last year? One of the more popular Reddit users has access to the photographer's cutout, and it just clipped the top cutout piece and clipped him in the face.
Yeah, that's David Birding, is one of my buddies.
That's who it is. Yeah.
Yep.
That's all.
Well, then I saw it right, and so here's the deal. Whenever I'm at a hockey game, I'll sit down at the cutout, and if there's little kids around, I always challenge them to take the little cutout thing out because it's like a puzzle. I'm like, right, do it. And then I'll look at them like, here's the deal. If the puck comes over the glass and I get it, I'm going to give it to you. But if that puck comes through, it's mine because more often
you earned it.
I'm getting plunked. And you know, after David got hit, I'm like, I text him right away because I'm watching the game. I'm like, did you get the puck? He's like, no, I took 3 steps up and some guy grabbed it. And he was like, I already tweeted my girlfriend I got the puck. I'm like, dude, just grab the puck from that guy, you know? Yeah. You know, but same with, but like in the baseball, well, I always give the balls out, you know? And like very early on, I got one. And I'm like, I looked up and I didn't see any kids around, and there's this guy standing there, and I'm like, give this to a kid, right? I flip it up to him, and I don't know how or why, but I was on Twitter that night, and it was his account that somebody retweeted. He's like, I got 5 balls. I'm like, you jerk. I'm like, give the ball to a kid, you know?
Yeah, that's what you're supposed to do.
Right. Like if I catch it and it's a screamer or I get hit, then maybe I'll consider keeping it. But like, it's a bucket of balls. It's a baseball. Here you go. Make a kid's day. You know?
No, definitely. Now, do you have any favorite players to shoot, or do you have any special rapport with any of them?
No, I think, and as we're doing these things for the show, I think that's kind of like a misconception too, where it's not like we hang out or I know them. Like technically, we're probably not really even supposed to talk to them, like because they're doing their job or I'm doing my job, that sort of thing. So there's not really that sort of thing going on, and I'm not at that level because I'm not a team photographer or anything like that.
Yeah. Now you've had cards, photos with Tops and Upper Deck, and so they just pull them basically off the wire service, or you get that, and then you get credit for taking
Right.
that photo. There's no direct contact with you or the company.
It depends. So Tops, no. Upper Deck, yes. So Upper Deck, I don't work for Upper Deck. I'm a freelancer for them. But what will happen hey, can you work these games? Yes, I can. And then they send me their list. These are the people we need. It's your rookies and for the young guns and that whole bit. So I'll figure out, how I'm going to approach this game, what positions I may need around the ice arena, that sort of thing. So I am in contact with the Upper Deck folks, not at all with Tops.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Now, so let's talk a little bit about the card show. So I just shared the link in the chat, and check it out. But tell us a little bit more about the show and what you're hoping to do with it, and like if it will air, like when it will air, and what's that all going to look like, and
Right.
how can we consume it.
Right. So the end goal, and as I mentioned earlier, we had talked to a couple of there's a card company. We had 2 meetings with them, and it just wasn't the right time. And I'm like, well, I still want to do this, so let's see what happens if I put it out on social media. So that's what happened. That's how we got introduced, and that's why I'm here right now talking to you guys about it. The way it sort of went about, when I'm shooting these games and I look around and, there's 4 or 5 other wire services, and, so much of what photography is now is disposable. You take a photo, it goes on a newspaper and a magazine. That's going to get recycled a day later, maybe not even read or seen or whatever. But, I'm still carding around those cards I got in 1982. You get the right player, the right card, that's going in a top loader, one touch, and then you're going to hang on to that forever, or sell it or trade it or whatever. But to me, it's much more lasting, and it's fun. And for me, you never really, I don't know the best way to sort of articulate this, but you're not going to change your world doing the same thing everybody else is doing. So I sort of looked at this and said, how can I get to do what I love to do and still do what everybody else is doing, but put my own spin on it and make something really cool, unique, and something that people may want to take a look at. And that's where the idea of the card show came about. It was, every week I want to travel to a different stadium, and this is like the grand vision. If somebody said, I'm the career genie and this is what you get to do, boom. You go to a different stadium every week, cover the game as a member of the media, trying to get the pictures for the cards, but then I stick around and I stay there as a fan. And that's when, I want to talk to the longest standing ticket or season ticket holder. What's their story? I want to talk to the guy at Fenway or the gal at Fenway that's manually changing the numbers every inning, right? I want to talk to, the historian that puts all the cool memorabilia around the stadium. I want to talk to a kid that, dragged the field. I want to talk to, when I was in Wrigley, and I always just talk to the security guards. I'm like, look, this is my first game here. I don't know what I'm doing. What are the ropes? And I start talking to him and like, hi, how long have you worked here? And this, that, and that he has a ring from when they won the World Series. Like, that's pretty cool. He's like, oh yeah, I just started as a security guard over there. I was part-time and I moved up 3 years later. Now I'm on the field every night. I got a ring, super cool job. Like there's a lot of really cool, unique stories out there. And I think they're interesting enough to go out and tell them.
Yeah, no, definitely.
And that's kind of what we like to have the occasional spotlight wherein, we can talk all day about our individual collection or an individual set that's coming out, but it's kind of nice to see, and something that I'd like to see more of, the behind the scenes stuff. Like,
Right.
in 1970, outside of Topps executives who have all the books written about them, what was it like for a daily worker? What was it like for the line cutter, the print sheet maker, etc.?
Like, I want to see
so that's kind of cool.
that happen of like, why is this your flagship design? Like,
well, exactly.
I think that would be super interesting. Like, where do the cards get printed? Where are they cut?
Minneapolis and Dallas.
Right.
Oh, sorry.
Why aren't you using more of my photos?
Right. Yeah. Why did you crop out that player's hands? Like, no, but that's super interesting to me, because like, what is the first thing that happens in the comment section when anybody releases something? I hate the design, and all the trolls come out, and they, like, people work their tails off to put that together. They're super.
You gotta let it set in.
What's that?
You gotta let it set in. Like, when you first see the design, and whenever they send it out, like, the end of the year, you have to let it set in for a few weeks and go back and look at it again.
Right.
Because you're gonna hate it instantly right off the bat, because it's not 1987 Topps.
Right.
It's not 1968 Topps.
Right.
It doesn't have that look and feel. Right. So.
Right. So.
Go ahead.
But yeah, it's and the plan always was like, okay, and I'm renovating this camper van, so that was going to be like the thing. I get in the camper van, like, here's my grand opening of the show. Like, I'm in the backyard and my whole family's playing catch a ball, whatever. The mail comes, I open up the mailbox, and it's a package from the card company. I open the packs, me and my kid, and they're all blank. They're just names. So my job is to go put the photos on the cards with the blank names. And then we figure out, okay, how are we going to get there? What's the map route? Well, we're going to go to Cleveland first, and then we're going to go up to, Detroit, and then we'll come back down to Chicago, and then maybe we can hit Kansas City. And that's like sort of the adventure piece of it, to figure out how we're going to get there. And like, I want to visit card shops. I want to go to minor league games, like, just sort of have that whole travel show experience centered around professional sports, trading cards, the whole bit.
Yeah, because you get lifestyle too, because you're running into people and you're getting that reality thing from it when you're talking to somebody that you see at a game,
right?
But they're supposed to be almost invisible, like a ticket taker,
right? Like
the person changing the scoreboard, the security guard, the ushers, all those guys you're not supposed to see. They're just there in case you need them, right?
Right.
And that'd be a great. I love that idea. It gets me excited.
Right.
But I need you to make me two guarantees. When you get big and famous from this, you come back on the show. And if when it gets so big and you're out of here and you go to Oracle Park, AT&T Park here in San Francisco, we come down and hang out with you. We don't really want to go to the O.co because it smells like a men's urinal. So we're okay on that one.
Speaking of trolls,
right?
Yeah, he's not.
That's what I need. Those two promises from you. So I love it. I think Travel Channel. Somebody would be smart to do that there.
Sure.
There's a ton of opportunity for it. I love the idea. One of our really good listeners here, Jake, he wants to know what equipment that you use. He's been shooting sports photography since '99, and he uses a Canon shoots a Canon himself. Okay. So he wants to know what kind of equipment you use.
The full frame stuff, I'm Nikon D3, and then I have 3 camera visor Nikon D500s. People ask me all the time, like, oh, I'm gonna get this camera. Like, what should I get? And that's like anything else. What's your budget?
Yeah.
But the one thing I always tell people is like, spend your money on nice lenses, because you're always going to need them, whether you switch camera bodies or upgrade this, that, or the other thing. The glass is what's going to get you through onto the next deal. So for me, it's all Nikon glass. When I started out, I was a Canon guy, and there was sort of that cusp where digital finally became affordable somewhat, and the Nikon D100 was $2,000 at the time, and the Canon, model that was similar was like $500 more. So I'm like, well, I can get this and the lens that I want for still less than just the camera body. So from that point on, I've just been Nikon ever since.
Well, and it depends too, I think, what you're planning to shoot, whether you're looking to shoot, planetary stuff, because we have a D5200
Okay.
For local events here ourselves, but I want to pick up. There's a special one that they just made that I think is Nikon as well.
Okay.
But it has a built-in 125x super zoom lens. Actually, yeah.
Okay. Well, and then you have Sony now that's making a camera that shoots 20 frames a second. That's essentially video. You're 4 frames shy of a video camera.
Right.
And you don't miss because the technology is coming out. It's mind blowing.
Oh, it's crazy. No, I can say this is my camera of choice.
Right.
Because I don't take a lot of photos, but it has this portrait mode, and I have a year. My son just turned a year, and I've taken some photos with it. We've used for Mother's Day cards, and we used for his birthday. And people go, "Who took this photo? Who'd you pay?" And I was like, "Well, no, I use my iPhone.
Right.
I took the picture. I'm terrible at taking photos." And they were like, and so I'm happy with that because that's all I'm ever going to need. But yeah, I worked in a retail environment. I was at a big electronics company, and Nikon was, God, I went on some nice vacations because of Nikon,
right?
And selling their stuff, and they great cameras, and same with Canon. But Nikon was always seemed to be the consumer choice, I think, when it came to it. So, what's one sport? So you told us about your Karoo. Now we always ask everybody that's on the show, if you could only own one sports card, which one would it be and why? Is it the Karoo, or is there another one that comes to mind? Your first baseball card that you showed there.
I think it'd have to be the Karoo.
Mm-hmm.
Personal, my favorites. They're really attached. It has less to do with the player and more about the experience of getting the photo. For example, the Trout stuff that I got, that was a family vacation for us, and I picked up 2 games when I was out in Anaheim and brought the kids and my wife. They're out in the stands, and that's you pull out your little treasure box. Remember this vacation where we went to this Angels game and I got these Trout cards? That's the cool part for me.
Yeah.
To be able to share that experience and nerd out on the ball hawking with my kid, and just go to all these stadiums, and you want to see them all.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Now, where can we find you? Where's the best way to keep up to date with what you're doing and with the card show?
So at Nick _Wasika, the spelling's horrendous. It's WOSIKA for Twitter and Instagram. Just Nick Wasika is the YouTube channel. But we're just at this point, it's about, now that I know there's an interest in it, we're gonna try to pump out as much content as we can.
One suggestion too, and I like this, that somebody in the chat here said is, Gary V is?
No.
So he's kind of a big entrepreneur, and he's like a self-help kind of guy, and he's really been talking about sports cards, and he's been collecting since the early 80s, and he was a flipper as a kid.
Okay.
And he's getting back into sports cards, and there's been a lot of talk in the hobby with him lately. And I think if you got, he's based in New York, if you got some of this information in front of him or to him, it's at Gary V on Twitter. He's very interactive on there. I think, and I think, they're right here. He would be the guy maybe to help get in the right direction with something like this, because he's in the hobby right now. He's talking about his love for the cards in the game, and I think that could be a good person to maybe help you get down the path of what you're looking to do, because I think it's an amazing idea. I mean, we're 3 nerdy collectors, and I'm want to binge watch the show and check out your adventure with you. So
well, and I threw it by my coworker. He worked at Beckett for however long, a good length, at least 10, 15 years. And he said he definitely listened too. He thought your intro was really interesting, and he liked the idea. I mean, it gives us something to listen to at work. So we looking forward to seeing what comes of it.
Yeah,
appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, so we'll definitely keep in touch and follow up with you, and we wish you the best success. And thanks for coming and hanging out with us tonight.
Absolutely.
And I'm gonna stick to my promise too. So the 2 things:
All right. Yeah, we don't need to go to Oakland because
Not unless it's a day game.
or until they get a new stadium. Then we'll
Right.
go.
We can always make them come to Dallas.
Yeah, wow. You're
Well,
gonna have a game down there too.
Thanks so
Exactly.
much, Nick. We really appreciate your time this evening.
Yeah, very
Absolutely.
insightful. We'll be looking for your cards in the flagship and coming up, and you'll have to let us know and send out when you have cards posted in there, and we'll definitely share them on the show for sure.
Will do.
Mhm.
It's the funnest thing ever to sit down with my kid and open a box of cards and be like, I took that one. And like his friends think I'm really cool, but I'm just his nerd dad, you know.
So
Is there-
I'd presume, speaking of photos and opening them with your kids, I assume the cards behind you are some of the ones that you've taken.
Yeah.
Of course.
Well, here, you guys have any interest in this stuff?
Of course.
These are really no specific order. I just kind of threw them in there as I got them, and they're all over the place. Some are pulled, some are eBay, you know. But whenever I go into a situation, there's
I think that's Ichiro's last flagship card, wasn't it?
Yep.
I believe so, yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Now, one thing, Nick, would you sign through the mail for any collectors that might want to send you one of your cards?
Sure. 100%.
Because I'm not a big in-person auto guy, but I would absolutely love and be honored to have one of yours in my personal collection as an Oakland A. That's what I personally collect. So
Yeah, when they were here for the Players Weekend, the tops now, I think I had probably 10 of the 12 Oakland cards. And this is, so do I still have time to?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Go.
When I originally wanted to shoot the promo for the show, I had friends that are the team photographers for the Winnipeg Jets. Okay.
Mm.
And I call them like, look, this is my idea for a show, and it's always going to be based around photography. So I want to highlight you guys and interview and talk to you about your job and, what it is, what it isn't, and just, tell the story. And they're like, yeah, we'd love to do that. But first you got to call the marketing guy at the Jets. Okay. So I email the guy at the Winnipeg Jets, and I'm not lying. 5 minutes later, this is an awesome idea. You can come up and do whatever you want. You got credentials for you and your video guy, and we're good. I'm like, awesome. Line it all up. Hey, you got your passport ready? We're going to go to Canada. Let's do this. The game was on a Saturday. I get a call on a Friday. Yeah, we just ran this by the NHL, and they said, no, you can't do it because this, that, and the other thing. Essentially, the NHL wants money, because it's the NHL.
Of course.
And I'm like, no, we're not showing this. It's not airing anywhere. We're not selling any products. I want to go hang out with the photographers. Well, you got to call this gal at the head office. So I call her. Well, it's Friday at 4:30, and we really don't have time to go over this and whatever. All right, fine. And I'm like, well, we're credentialed. Let's go anyway. So we went up there, and we still filmed, and we still got all the interviews. But like my favorite part, John and Darcy, I had their cards, and I had them sign them, and because a part of they're big hockey guys, obviously in Canada, and they love just as big a nerd as I am about this stuff. And so I brought up a pack of Jets or a good size collection of Jets cards, and I played, is this mine or yours? And I had whipped out the cards, and they had to say whose photo it was. And
that's awesome.
Nailed it at 100%, right? So then at the end, I had them sign my cards. So I did the exact same thing.
Nice.
And these get kept up on my mantle here. We had
Brian Little and Patrick Laney.
and Brian Little. So pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Nice.
Yeah, because these are all works of art in their own right, and to a credit to somebody like you that we often, how many cards do we have on our desk, and we don't think about that backstory. And that's why we were excited to have you and to have you autograph some of your artwork, some of your photography for us as collectors would be a neat addition, I'm sure, to any PC, regardless of if it's player, team, or otherwise.
No,
so what would be the best way for somebody just to kind of hit you up on Twitter and get an address for you to send you anything?
Absolutely.
Outstanding. Well, we'll share that all through the site handle about the cars on Twitter. We'll get that out where to find Nick. And again, Nick, amazing. This is top best interview we've ever had.
we didn't know we needed your show in our life until we heard about it, and we're like, dude.
Well, and that's the thing too. I think it's, somebody's like, why you? Why not me? It's nothing's important until somebody tells you it is, or nothing's cool until somebody introduces you to it. And I'm like, I'm not getting any younger. Let's give this a shot and see what happens.
And that's how we started the show. Like, we just said, like, let's just do it. Who cares? If no one listens, we just do it for ourselves, and that's how we're going to do it every week. And we're on the 49th episode. We don't see it stopping. We love doing it.
Right.
And it's kind of like one of those things, just until someone says I can't do it, I'm going to keep doing it. And
right.
It's fun. And I love seeing someone run down their dream, and you're living it, working and taking photos of your favorite sports, and that's and getting on cards. I mean, that's just amazing to me as a kid, growing up. I mean, everybody was like, I want to either be I want to have a card. And you can say, yeah, I've made cards of these guys and
right.
shared them with everybody, and they're going to last forever. So very cool stamp on the hobby, and we'll keep in touch and share your successes.
Appreciate it.
All right. Well, Nick, thanks for joining us. We're going to continue here on About the Cards podcast. We're going to hit the week that was last week's releases. Topps Living Week 62. We had card 184 Al Kaline of the Detroit outfield of the Detroit Tigers. He sold just over 4,200. Card 185 UC Kikuchi, the rookie pitcher for the Mariners, sold just over 3,600. And card 186 Jai-Man Choi of the Tampa Bay Rays, the first baseman, just shy of 3,000. You can always check out at Topps Living Stat for a full breakdown of where these cards fall respectively in the set by team and by position. Last week also too, 2019 Topps Big League released, and 2019 Panini Prism Baseball with 75 parallels came out. So I think you get more parallels than base cards when you open a box per Mojo Break. And that was them opening their first case was hilarious, because they're just like, oh, this is the zebra dog parallel, and whatever. It was pretty funny. So some cool ones there. Did you guys happen to pick up any of the Living this week or from last week?
I didn't, but that Al Kaline's a just piece of work.
Doesn't like he's a piece of work, or it was an out piece of artwork?
Well, a gorgeous piece of artwork, but yeah, he was definitely a great player.
Yeah, I picked up the rookie, of course, Kikuchi, so to add to that collection of mine. So we'll hop into hot off the press as this week's new releases. Week 63 already of Topps Living. Card 187, former Royal and World Series champ Lorenzo Cain for the outfielder for the Brewers. Card 188, Nick Senzel, outfielder rookie from the Cincinnati Reds. And card 189, finally another Royal, Hunter Dozier, third baseman of my Royals. Came out. Where is George Brett? Please take my money so I can buy a bunch of George Bretts. I had to buy a couple cards this week. Almost bought all three because of Locaine. Just couldn't pull the trigger at the Brewers uni on him. So a decent week. It helps with all these rookies of making their debut. It's going to make update pretty crazy this year, I'd say. Anybody excite you this week, fellas?
No, I might grab the Senzel, but other than that, I would have grabbed the Lorenzo Cain if I were you. I grabbed the Sogard and things. Come on.
I didn't grab Hosmer.
You should have them as your former Royals. That's what the set's for.
Once they're gone, they're gone.
No,
they're not. They're always available.
I would think it would matter what's your personal attachment. If it's just like Fernando Rodney played for us, but I'm not going to go out and collect all of his cards after leaving us.
No, but that's why
Justin Morneau in Colorado Rockies unis, Justin Morneau in the White Sox, Kadire in the Rockies unis. Yeah, sure, I'll pick those up. Or Rod Carew with the Angels.
Giant?
Rod Carew with the Angels.
Yeah. Oh, that's where he belongs, though. He is an Angel.
No.
Along with Reggie Jackson.
Debatable.
Yeah.
I love Rod. This week we also have 2019 Panini Legacy Football. Launched this week today. $80 a box, 16 packs per box, 8 cards per pack, 2 autos, 10 inserts, and 10 parallels per box. 200 card base set. It's a combo of old, new designs. Vets, rookies, and legends are all part of the set, and it replaced classics.
Yes,
there was people upset about that Panini Classics will not be back, and this is the set that's taking its place. I heard it's pretty hot. A lot of people like it because it has a lot of the legend autographs in it, more than some of the other products. So that's one reason to go after this set. Some neat inserts, but just another one of many Panini football releases this season.
Just know that, again, like we say, in another DM group, I had one of the members actually called and sat online with Panini, and they said that confirmed that yes, this is replacing classics, which I know it's a beloved set, but this is what's taking its place this year.
Yeah. And, it happened last year with Big League replacing physical bunt, and I think Big League's, in better product. I think it
definitely was last year.
Yeah. So also this week, 2019 Topps Pro debut released to $69 a box, 24 packs per box, 8 cards per pack. You're going to get 2 autographs and 2 mem and/or commemorative relics. This too has a 200 card base set. The same design as Topps flagship. For many of the 2018 draft picks, this is their first mainstream card wearing minor league uniforms. And there's also a handful of cards that have short print photo variations, of course, because we couldn't have a Topps release without photo variations. Yeah, so that is out. This is always a neat. But it's one of those when you open it, you gotta, if you don't know your minor league teams, it can be kind of hard to figure out what guy belongs to what team because it has their minor league affiliates on there.
Topps would actually denote, hey, the Dayton Dragons are part of the Cincinnati Reds system.
Yeah, so so you're gonna have Wander Franco. I know Vlad's in the set. Joey Barr, I believe, Bo Bichette, Pete Alonso has a card in here. Tatis, some of the guys that made their debuts already this year, and then you have some of those younger guys. I know Casey Mize is in here. Our buddy, did you see Mike Summers pulled from his case openings the Mize 1/1 auto?
Nice.
So he was super excited today. He pulled that, and Mize has been dominating the minors, so I'd hope to see him up soon with the Tigers and bring back that franchise. Looks like a solid first pick in the draft for them, so hopefully he turns out, because pitching prospects are always dangerous. So you can also check out this checklist on aboutthecards.wordpress.com. I got released there today. 2018-19 Upper Deck Chronicles Hockey, $130 a box. 1 pack per box, 4 cards per pack. You're going to get 1 auto, 2 additional autos or inserts, and 1 base or Celsius Legends card.
And what's the name of the set?
What did I say? Chronological?
Chronologies, yeah.
Yeah.
You're close.
I just make up words here. It's dedicated entirely to retired players. So it's the first set to use Upper Deck's agreement with the NHL Alumni Association. So, and there were some cool dual cut autos on here of former teammates.
These remind me of a set that Upper Deck had prior to losing the baseball license, where they were bordered kind of like the Diamond Kings parallel, but they were canvas cards.
Kind of like the Upper Deck masterpieces.
That's what I'm describing. Yeah, Upper Deck masterpiece.
Gotcha. Which was probably at least in my opinion, maybe the best set ever made of any card. I think those only ran from like 07 and 08 for baseball.
08, 09 maybe.
Maybe I think it was only 2 years though.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, that was right. Those had released right before I got back into the hobby the second time, and man, I was sold. I was in love with that. But the QC was terrible. There were missing cards on the checklist for the football set. I think it was like a 110 card set, but there were like 6 cards missing off the checklist. So it was really 104, but they were numbered to 110 or something along those lines.
Boop.
Yeah. No, so definitely a neat set. I like how it's veteran. It's all, based on the retired players. So that's really cool. Go back.
Yeah, that's
history.
a nice touch.
A little history lesson as you're opening some packs. What's Brewing next week's release is just 2: 2019 Topps Definitive Baseball and 2019 Panini Leather and Lumber baseball. And then also Steph's Own Leather and Lace will be released next week.
Yeah, nobody want that.
I've already pre-ordered a case.
Oh gosh. We're gonna hop an Infield chat. We're moving along here tonight. We had so there was a tweet that was sent out by William H. Gregory, Well, it took me a little over 4 years to complete the LeBron James, St. Vincent, St. Mary crest, but the final piece came today. It's 20 patch cards that make up the shield logo of St. Mary, St. Vincent, where he played high school ball. And what dedication.
Let alone all of these are only numbered to 15. So if he misses out on the 1 or 2, he can't complete the crest.
Yeah. Very impressive. And, so collect what you love. And this is definitely an interesting piece. And so I love when guys try to get the letterman. They try to spot the last names on the back of the jerseys. But this
spell out their own name.
Yeah.
That's definitely above and beyond.
Oh, yeah, this is crazy. So wanted to share that. We also, too, had a sneak peek maybe, right? I don't know if you guys saw this, but is Topps making basketball cards again? They haven't since 09 and the 10 season. Manis Cards said, whoa, the return of Topps basketball. He posted a photograph on a Facebook chat of Tyler Hero signing Topps Chrome basketball cards. I think he played at Kentucky. And later, Cracknell picked it up from Beckett, and he posted it. It was something that the player posted on his Instagram page. And so Cracknell put an article out on Beckett.com, and we'll share that with you guys. And he has 3 ideas of what these cards could be for, because you don't see – there's no NBA logos, there's no college logos, because all that stuff is under Panini's umbrella, because they have the exclusives there. But what he thinks is there's 3 options. So I want to ask you guys what you think they are. So the first one is both Panini and Topps are making basketball cards in the 1920 season. His crystal ball says not happening. What do you guys think?
I think if anything, if that's an option, they'll get a co-license for the Panini, the Players Association. If anything, I doubt it as well.
You guys have any?
It's got to be the obvious, right? I mean, Panini's making unlicensed baseball cards. I mean, what else could it possibly be?
Well, there's a couple other ideas. So the second option is Topps is doing a draft style 1920 Topps Chrome baseball set or basketball set, and his crystal ball says maybe. So maybe they're doing something similar to what Leaf and Sage do for football. Which is this, and this is what I agree with him. I think these are simply inserts for a non-basketball card set. And he said his crystal ball says strong possibility. There's a lot more to his article. Please check it out. It's great. I think this is what it is, because back in the last year in Allen and Ginter, they had Jaren Jackson. I think they had Bagley Jr. They had a couple other guys that were in Allen and Ginter last year. So maybe they're dropping a few of these basketball players into Chrome baseball. I don't know why. Allen and Ginter seems like a better fit because you have random sports people in there anyway. But it's going to be very interesting to see what happens with this and keep our eye out on it, because this is the first little – I love when players do this. When they pull back that curtain just a little bit unknowingly, and then we get to speculate and dream and think of what could happen.
Don't try to bring logic into this.
If this is going to be a Topps Chrome insert, the hobby's going to go nuts, because there's so many people that hate Allen and Ginter anyway due to the inclusion of all of the non-baseball. But it's okay, because it's Allen and Ginter, and most of us who understand that product have accepted it for what it is.
Yeah.
But if you're going to touch Topps Chrome, which is one of the strongest, outside of Stadium Club, might be one of the more sought-after non-Bowman products each year, the hobby's going to go nuts if that ultimately is what happens.
So we'll see.
For better or worse. That doesn't mean it's a bad thing.
I like that there's a little unknown, and it's creating a little fuster and talk in the hobby. It's always great. Also, too, Topps Total Wave 1 started to hit people today, in the last couple of days. And Twins Jake tweeted out he'd opened some, and it looks like there's a peeling issue with like the top layer, like the protective coating, peeling up on corners. And he's not the only one. I mean, he did hit some amazing autos. Like he had a Trout, and he had a Kuna, and he had I think Tatis Jr. But he had a one-of-one Brad Boxberger, I believe, with a peeling corner, a Blake Park. So these cards hit home with Steph and I. There were the little bottom right corner there, the little coating, UV coating or whatever, is peeling off. And this is the one-of-one card. I mean, I ordered 10 boxes, and they're supposed to be here, I think, this week. So I'll have to open up and see. But
so what he'll have to do is just peel them off like Topps Finest, right?
oh yeah, remember that? I always still have cards from then. I just left it peeled. It's unpeeled from 20 years ago.
See, I'm obsessive. I have to have one that's unpeeled and one that's peeled.
Oh, see, that's what's wrong with you.
You have to have one that's partially peeled, left to right, up to down. I mean, all the variations of the peel, right?
Yeah, of course.
So, real quick, how many packs, according to Chris Harris, or how many boxes were made based on how many packs were generated?
200. Yeah, we did the math a couple shows ago. I think it was 246 hobby boxes to 24 packs a box.
Because somebody else that opened up a lot of product gave me some stats earlier saying that in 40 packs, they pulled 7 reds, which are out of 10, 2 blacks out of 5, and a gold 101, and 1 auto, as well as some other parallels. And it seems like with what he pulled versus what Twins Jake pulled, if you bought any of this product, you had to get those parallels out, right? So they had to shove them in there. So I imagine the ratio of a per pack, you're going to get some strong parallels. So people who bought Wave 1 are going to end up doing very, very well. Whereas with Wave 2 has Vlad Jr., so I would imagine that print run is going to jump.
Yeah.
But Wave 1, if you have packs, then that also begs the question, do you open them?
Yeah, right.
Or do you sell them? Because if you open them, you're a good chance you're going to get something good in there because they had to throw them in packs. But it's possible you'd get a better return if you bought it for the investment.
Yeah, so we'll see.
If you leave it closed.
I bought 10 packs with like less than an hour to go that Friday, and I was just like, you know what, I'm gonna do it now. And I bought another 10 for Wave 2 just the other day. So we'll see what happens. I don't know. When I get them in my hands, it's gonna be hard for my grubby little fingers not to pull them out and fondle them, because as I said decide this weekend, I'm a big fat sweaty card fondler from Kansas with a communications degree, and anyone that listens to Colin's podcast understands what that means. And
no, you're only supposed to fondle 1987 Topps.
Oh well.
Oh, we do at shows generally when we can gobble it up. So you're gonna have to go either on Periscope or on the show and open those up if you decide to.
No, I already said that I'm gonna open it up through the TBS Sports Card, a YouTube page, and do it there. So. Any supply needs, check out TBS Card.
That's not a sponsorship now, is it?
No, what?
If it is,
my headphones cut out for a quick second there.
You'll know when I email you the invoice.
Yeah. So no, I'm interested to see. I'm excited, and you know what? Topps will come back and help this issue out, because I know they have a Topps Living with issues there. So it just stinks when you open it up and you open in so much and a lot of it comes damaged. So we will see. I also choose some cool information that was given to us today. So 2019 Topps update. The sell sheet was out today, and it had some very interesting information about the silver packs. So the packs will now be in the boxes and not handed out by the LCS. So they're going to. So when you buy a hobby box, your silver pack is inside the box. Nice. And your jumbo will have the 2 silvers inside the box.
So now, if you go to a store, you can't be screwed out of your pack, but 2, you'll know for sure whether they filtered them out and whether they didn't play preferential treatment to this customer or that customer. You buy your box, the pack is in there.
But my question is now, does every box have them for the whole run? And does that make this wave of them more plentiful?
Print all the cards.
Yeah. Yes. So there's that. And then also too, like there's some large, so breakers, right? Or people that, people are going to have, well, people that normally would sell off the packs, right, on their own. Now and would want to sell the sealed boxes as well. Now they're going to have to make a decision. Do I open it up and now it's an unsealed box to sell those packs, or do I just take it in the shorts and sell it now? So it's going to change a lot of the selling habits. I think for the collector in a better way, versus the Ripper Flipper. So.
Well, you also have Mike Summer, our friend, who's co-hosted our show a couple of times, and he put together Series 1, the whole set, and I imagine he's going to do the same thing with Series 2. And so if he's going to complete all 3 runs of this year, it's going to alter how he ultimately is going to be able to acquire those. So even if it's for your personal collection, it's somehow it's going to alter it. Of course, if there's one per box, that's going to definitely create a difference on the secondary market of overall cost, whether it's a sealed pack or individual.
Yeah. I think it's interesting. It's just a different way. And I like it. I think Topps is trying to help protect the collectors buying these because they are guaranteeing them those packs now. And where before it was up to the LCS to hand them out, and not always were. Most LCSs are on the up and up, but there's some that aren't maybe doing that and selling those and opening them and making money off something that's supposed to be free from Topps to give out. So interesting. It kind of leads us into, we're going to get kind of in a wonky spot here, and I don't want to bring us down. Well, we've had such a great show with our amazing interview with Nick tonight. So we're going to get down in the dredges here a little bit, and then we're gonna lift back up. But Sports Card News posted this tweet this week. 93 trim PSA or BGS Steph Curry and James Harden cards have been found, all sold by PWCC. Wow. It all comes from a blowout forum post, and we've talked about this recently, and we'll share all these links with you. But it comes from the handle 312-4508 on ComC is the handle that has identified all these cards. And the way they've identified these cards is they found serial numbered on WorthPoint and then on the marketplace where the card, one card I'm pulling up here, there's a Steph Curry Crown Royal rookie card numbered 286 out of 399. It was a 910. And then that was on WorthPoint. And then later on, it comes out, the same card number is now a 10 of 10 pristine 10 auto. So how does that same serial numbered card go from a 9 mint to a 10 pristine? And there are over, just for 2 players, over 90 examples of these cards.
So one sold by Probstein and one, after being relabeled, being sold by PWCC.
Yeah. And that on some awful YouTube page I was watching the other day with a guy had zero personality. He interviewed somebody from PWCC about this, and they're talking about conserving the cards. 2009, 2010 cards, to me, don't need to be conserved or repaired, right? They are what they are. It's not a 1955 Hank Aaron.
T206.
Or a T206. Something that sat in someone's closet in a smoke-filled den or whatever for, 50, 60, 70 years. These were pack-pulled cards in a day where we have so many ways to protect them. And so now they're, and so it's just a way for them to kind of cover up and be like, well, anyway, so it brings up a whole story. My questions are, is it time to boycott or just stop using PSA and BGS grading services until these things are fixed or they come out and say something about it?
Well, I heard a good argument by our friend at, let me get that potograph, in that especially if these are numbered, there's no real excuse why they can't keep a simple database of when it got submitted, what it got graded, if we regraded it, or even, it got a 9.5 because of the bottom left corner. There's a ding. Okay, so when it ends up getting regraded, if the bottom left corner doesn't have a ding, not necessarily that they need to look that up because they're already way overworked. But if we see a difference between them and we can look, not into their proprietary stuff, but if we can see that, this card had a ding in the bottom left corner and it's the exact same serial number and now it's not, something's happened.
Yeah.
Well, what's funny is Steph made my point for me, which is the fact that they're way overworked. So here we are spending hard-earned money to slab a card, either to increase its value or encase it so that it's quote-unquote protected. And it's an arbitrary process. It's looked at by human eyes. to me, it's a scam because there's no way to be consistent across the board. If we're all looking at the same card, just the three of us, we're all going to look at it slightly different through our own flawed eyes. And the simple fact is that we know that there's impropriety behind closed doors where if you submit enough stuff, you're going to get a little bit of an advantage over the guy that just submits one random card. They don't have enough time to look at it and give it the attention to detail that it would need. And, I'm sorry, if it was a 9.5/10, then it's always supposed to be a 9.5/10 if it was cracked open and regraded, right? Because that's what we're paying for.
Yeah, and that's my thing is but what do you guys think? I mean, do you think it's time to stop using these grading services until they do something? Have a database or share this information more frequently with the people spending there's people spending thousands and thousands of dollars every year grading cards with these companies, and yet some cards are getting graded a handful of times.
Part of it's the nature of the market itself. With everything being worth tens of thousands of dollars straight out of the box for someone that's in single A, double A, triple A. The base relic, not base relic, but the base refractor cards, do they really need to be graded? This is another point that he made on the podcast. Where you can understand the 1 of 5, the 1 of 10, you probably want that graded, and it makes sense to have that graded. But at the same time, even for patch cards, there should be a way that you can scan, whether it's by the little QC code where you can scan it and say, okay, hey, this piece of the jersey is from this jersey that may or may not have been used in this season. Okay, you can actually see a picture of the jersey. There's no reason that Panini, Topps, Upper Deck, whoever can take a photo of the jersey, store it in a database, and type in a little key code that you can type in to load that image. Likewise, for these, there's no reason you shouldn't be able to type in whatever set this is.
Well, there should be a QR code. Now, I remember years ago, was it 2012 or 13? Panini said they were coming out with a database for all their jersey and cards.
And where is it?
Yeah. 6-7 years later.
I was on Facebook this week in one of the groups. I know you don't like it, but it's good. It's good bathroom rating. But this guy literally says,
"That's what 2600 is for."
There's this guy says, "I got this relic from like 2010. It's a Tommy Hansen, Warren Spahn dual relic. Should I get it graded, and what's it worth?" And it's like, it's numbered out of. Yes. Yeah, it's numbered out of 50, so it's probably a $7 to $10 card. It really is. It's just a dual relic from Legendary Lineage, the insert set. Mm-hmm. But the default, that false narrative, the default is, should I get it graded? Not everything, like Steph said. And this is the second time in a row. Just now, I've agreed with him.
So I shouldn't get that graded then?
That's a little different because of who the subject matter is. But if you're asking me, I would not get it graded because all you're doing is encapsulating it, right? There's other ways, like Tim mentioned. We can protect these cards much better than we could 10, 20, 30 years ago.
Yeah.
We're smarter collectors. We know about temperatures and just, with the top loaders and different types of supplies.
Spend $4 on a one touch for that thick card.
I did.
And you're done.
Yeah,
you're not sending it away, trusting it in the hands of the post office, not once but twice, in the hands of who knows who when you actually get it to PSA or BGS or wherever.
Good night, Rich.
Yeah, Beckett's like just that way. I could go drive it there if I really wanted, but
but still we can't.
Yeah, but who knows what happens when you're in the car driving and you've had a couple Diet Pepsis.
Yeah.
It's not the Diet Pepsi that gets me in trouble.
I want to wow. Non-sponsored show member. I want to get back to it a little bit. So, what do we do with the current graded cards? I mean, do they lose value now because of this? So now is my 75 George Brett that I have graded 7, PSA 7, is it now as valuable as an ungraded one I have that's been dinged up and in someone's back pocket? I mean, I know it's not, but what I'm saying is now do you look at that grade and go, who cares? Because they grade the same card over and over again, and it's gotten different grades.
Who are you asking? Are you
I'm asking you guys.
No. I mean the broad question. Are you asking the educated collector, or are you asking Joe Random Buyer who swears by PSA because people have told them?
But what I'm saying is now that person has they have that information and they know, like, so you just show them an example. This Steph Curry card was graded this, and then it went back and was graded here again by the same company, and it got a better grade the second time, and the same serial number on the same card. So, okay, clear as day, you can see, like, obviously it's either something happened to the card, or a different grader got the card, or the right submitter submitted the card.
Exactly.
There's so many avenues that could be in. And Chris Torres in the chat,
way too many variables.
Yeah. In the chat says we need to spend time instead of on scapegoating PSA BGS and figure out how these people are doing it, what's getting through, how this is getting through and past the experts. So we need to focus on the process. I mean, what are they? I have a feeling more than being maybe trimmed cards, right? I think that it's the right person submitting the cards,
maybe,
and that's how it's happening.
Well, define expert, right? Are we talking like fantasy football expert?
No. What I'm saying,
kind of guy.
Well, you're an analyst. But what I'm saying is that, so say you're a big dealer, right? And you have, because those guys have connections throughout the hobby with all their distributors, Beckett, top. They all are going to have, within the manufacturers, they're going to have contacts. So they're going to have a contact, a Beckett, and they goes, oh, hey, I just received a grading package from XYZ in California. Oh, okay, I'll take that. Let's, it's 200 cards, and hey, it's from California.
Couple $100 stuck between card number 4 and number 5.
No, it's not that. It's just like, hey, this is a guy we got to take care of, right?
But is it though? That's the thing, is we don't know what kind of backdoor deals there are.
I know.
Or if there are.
To me, that's more plausible than people trimming cards. I know there are like items or machines that can do that, but that seems a little more dangerous than having the right person submit the card. I just think right now, it's like all that the graded stuff. Boom. Give me raw all day. I don't need protection.
Phrasing. No, I mean, and then even then, when I first got back into the hobby, I heard stories of people using their fingernail to rub out the dog-eared corners. But I mean, at the same time, for example, the cards that I have shared here, Nick, to the blind eye, which would you rather have? This that's extremely horribly miscut, or this that's graded? To the blind eye, you're going to say the PSA 8 that's in nice condition, right?
But can I get the other one for a nickel? And do I like all 3 players of the card? And is it cool? And
I spent 32 cents on it.
Yeah, we had the interview with Cardboard Icons a few Sundays ago, and we always talked about how he kind of inspired me to collect Hall of Fame rookies. I always thought I needed a 8 or 9, graded Hall of Fame, say Reggie Jackson rookie card. And, you look at the prices and it's like, yeah, I might be able to get one, and I won't ever get any of these other Hall of Famers rookie cards beyond pre-75. And it was like, no, man, if I found a Yastrzemski rookie card for $6 in my LCS, now it has a round corner.
I couldn't touch that card as a kid. And I look on eBay and it's like $12.
Yeah. I don't care what condition it is, as long as it's in a condition I deem acceptable. I'm good with it. It passes Tim's grading. Like, I don't
want to store all those weird things with the grading deal on it. I just like the cards and the top loaders and the one touches and be done.
Exactly.
They're easier to fit in boxes, and you have these giant tall boxes and all this stuff. And
obviously, none of us really care for grading as a whole, but the whole reason that I would ever buy a graded card would be for authenticity. But even that's in question now, because all of these cards are soaked. All these, because they clean up the back of T206s. Oh, put it in warm water and leave it in there. And it's just like, I'm not putting a piece of cardboard in warm water. And people are like, oh, it works so well. Yeah. And it's like, but it's one of those things, like, once you start deleting text messages away from your spouse, isn't that already a red flag as to maybe you're doing something questionable? It's like once you start trying to remove the wax from the back of cards and trying to get creases out of cards and you're soaking cards, I'm sorry, all of that is altered. You know, I've got plenty of late 60s cards that have names crossed out, or team names crossed out, I should say, because the player got traded and some 6-year-old, 10-year-old thought, hey, this dude's an Angels now, not a Dodger. Let me fix it with my pencil. I love that card because it's a piece of history.
Yeah.
Or like the 1990 Upper Deck where you could erase the hologram or the copyright, or pulling up a picture here. In the 70s, early 80s, somewhere in there, one of the manufacturers went through and reprinted a bunch of the Gaudi cards. Now, the only difference being they wrote reprint in this little blank space that provided the card. But if you know that that's there and you can erase it in the proper way and fade it just to the right aging mechanism, and you send it out when they're overloaded and you know that they're overloaded, and it goes through and they say that it's real.
Or when they grade facsimile auto cards.
Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's Babe Ruth's signature.
In that podcaster or YouTube channel that had interviewed PWCC, it was a tough watch because that guy is absolutely.
It was like mud.
Yeah, he has no personality. It's like talking with molasses.
It was like talking to a librarian. Welcome to the About the Cards podcast. Today we're going to talk about trading cards. Okay, let's do it. Yay.
But it was like a vanity piece. It wasn't like he didn't ask any really compelling or difficult questions. Like, hey, PWCC, you guys are under a lot of hot water right now for trimmed cards. You guys,
what are you doing?
You have anything to say about that? Because you know what's going to happen. He's going to be like, sorry, guys, I have to go.
Yeah.
I don't think that they were.
He was as some people say, like he was just juggling them.
Yeah, tossing them softballs.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and he's saying, I got PWCC on my show. Fantastic. But if you're not asking anything that the collectors want to hear, what's it matter?
We had Nick on tonight, and he's with us. We ask hard-hitting questions.
Yeah.
Yeah. We ask the tough ones. No, so it's just one of those things about I think this has been like the third show in a row we've talked about grading, but more things keep coming up, and it's just I want to make collectors aware. That's why we have the show, and we're collectors, and I'd want to know if some of this stuff was going on. So there's that. There was an article in the Wall Street Journal about collecting, buying at the bottom. So it was an article by Michael Salino, and the excerpt from it. With the stock market taking some sharp swings in recent days, investors may want to turn to the baseball card market, where demands for cards of hot prospects is outpacing the number of collectors willing to sell. Even the cards of slumping sluggers are holding their value because, just like in fantasy baseball, no one wants to sell low. So there was a couple. He had some bulls and bears. So he had a little graphic here, and it has Cody Bellinger. His 2017 Topps update in March of this year was $2. Currently, it's $15. Has a return on investment of 650%. Christian Yelich, 2013 Topps update, a card Ben brought up on a show in March of before March, I think it was, right back in February. In March of 19, it was $8. It's selling for $50. It's a $525 return on your investment. Pete Alonso should be on our fantasy team. 2016 Bowman Chrome Auto was $60 in March. It's $300 now. Domingo Germán. I don't know who Domingo Germán is for the Yankees. The 2015 Bowman Chrome was $12. It's now going for $60. That's a 400% return. Javi Baez, 2011 Chrome Auto from Bowman, $100 in March. Now it's going for $250. But here we go, guys. Here's a couple to keep your eyes on. Jose Ramirez, 2014 Topps Chrome. He was selling for $10 in March. It's $6 now. So it's lost 40% of its value since March. Jose Ramirez is a good player. We've talked about him on the show.
That's because he's hitting $1.97.
Yes.
Yeah.
Shohei Ohtani, 2018 Diamond King rookie signatures was $500 in March. It's currently going for $300, losing 40%. Shohei just came back, hit a homer. He's doing well. It's time. Buy these guys when they don't buy Cody Bellinger today. Don't buy Christian Yelich rookies today. Go buy the Jose Ramirez and the Shohei rookies today. The guys that are coming off injured, the guys that are injured. That's the time to go. We've talked about this previously on the show. This is the time. That's the time when they're on DL. When something, it's like stocks. When something's come out bad about the company, but you know they can rebound, you're going to go out and buy that stock cheap, and then you're going to make your money and sell at that high point. That's what you do with these guys. Now, if you were sitting on these Bellingers, hell yeah, sell them. You make $13 a card. Why not? You can go back later when he's hitting, $250 in the second half of the season, goes with that slump, you buy it back for $6. You still made like $9 on your card.
So
right?
I pulled it up here somewhere, and because Rich is a Yankees fan, he'd denote it for me tomorrow anyway. Domingo Herman is 9-1 for the Yankees with a 2.60 ERA.
Here we go.
Are we not going to talk about the showy that the Ohtani card was a 2018 Diamond Kings? That would not be the one that I would use as a reference point.
It was a rookie signature, so they were using an auto card.
But still,
I definitely always talk about Diamond Kings, but that's me.
Well, of course you do. But that's the thing is, if you're showing update, Bowman Chrome, Topps Chrome, those are all products that are first off licensed and well respected as being first rookie cards or first cards overall of the Bowman Chrome Auto. But I wouldn't use Diamond Kings as a reference point if I'm trying to show anything. It's just not a fluid product. Most people don't collect it, don't care about it. That's all. I mean,
yeah,
it's like Sesame Street. One of those don't belong. There's other showy Ohtanis you could have used to prove your point that there's a depreciation value associated with these as well.
I just picked up a couple of his Topps flagship rookies for $1 last month at the LCS. I mean, worst case, it goes to a 50-cent card at some time. No big deal. I lost 50 cents on a couple of cards, but better case scenario, most likely better chance of what's going to happen, that card's going to double or triple in that value. And so you're talking $3 or $4 on a card. So
well, a 300% appreciation value is relative to the cost. Yeah. Okay. Well, if it's $100 card that becomes 300, fantastic. But if it's a $1 card and it becomes a $3 card, I mean, is that really worth the trouble of selling and packaging up and going to the post office over? It's all relative to the associated costs. But we talked about it last week, I think, about Austin Riley. And he gets called up, and next thing you know, everybody's like, "Oh, let me see what you got for sale." And it's like, today's not the day to buy. Yesterday would have been the day, or wait till the guy is doing what Vlad Guerrero did over the first couple of weeks of his career at the major league level, and Riley comes up hitting 169. Dude, now go out and buy it. Yeah. But again, are you collecting these cards or are you buying to invest?
It leads back to a bigger thing. I think there's so many people in this hobby that are squirrel. What's new? That's what I have to be on. And then they forget about anything else. And they just hop around. At the end of the day, they look in their box and it's just a bunch of random things.
The time to buy the cards is when you're somebody's uncle's nephew's twice removed and you get the text message saying, "Hey, I'm getting called up," and then you accidentally leak it on Twitter.
Oh,
yeah. That's exactly
you get a DM from that player. "Hey, can you take that tweet down? The Rockies are a little mad." Yeah.
Well, but oops. It's one of those things that it goes back to grading, right?
Look in your debut later today.
I just bought a Bowman box of cards and I pulled an auto. Should I get it graded? Which company should I get it graded with? Well, why do you have to get it graded at all? Because it's like the squirrel. Everybody else.
And I'll grade it here personally.
We have someone in Dallas who does that now.
Guys, and too, if we need to trim it up, I'll make sure it's good for you.
Trim it?
Yeah, I'll trim it up myself.
My kids took a bubble bath earlier. I'll throw your vintage cards in with
I'll even give them a little break. Well, I'll Mojo trim it for you, so it's even better. I'll give it a little. This is how I give you like the Mojo refractor design.
You'll give them a break on the pricing.
Yeah, there we
go. We'll send it over to Cards from the Attic, and he'll be more than happy to trim cut.
He does a really good trim.
Yeah, he'll personalize it.
Yes. My wife's an esthetician. Maybe she can trim it for us. I mean, I don't know. So, guys, that's our show tonight. I mean, Rich missed out in the last 19 minutes, so there's that. We're hoping to do a collector spotlight with Rich Klein. He is the grandfather of our show, and we love him. And we hope to do an interview with him shortly to talk about what makes a rookie card. We're going to go into that a little bit tonight, but we're going to save that. We want to have Uncle Rich on and sit down with him and talk. I've never talked to him personally. I'm very excited. One, he puts up with Steph. So
No, he doesn't.
I want to hang out and talk cards with him because he's forgotten more than I'll ever know. Probably more than all of us ever combined will ever know. He's forgotten about the hobby. So there's that. Nick, I appreciate hanging out with us tonight. Great interview. Again, probably one of our best, if not the best we've had on the show. Very insightful, great background. And, we're hoping for success for you. Guys, any final thoughts before we head out tonight?
Just one quick thing on Rich. He and I obviously will get into this when we have him on, but we went back and forth on the 85-87 McGuire topic and whether or not the 85 Olympic was his true rookie card.
I'll have you know we talked about that at lunch today.
I thought Rich was awesome for this. Somebody commented and said that I was wrong for thinking the 87 was his rookie card over the 85. And Rich came to my defense because he and I go back and forth all the time and like to rile each other up for fun. And he's like, one thing that Ben and I have never done is said the other person was wrong. We've disagreed countless times, but we've never said the other was wrong because we're both passionate about our positions. And there's enough room. And this is really a reflection of anything that comes into society. It's okay to have a differing opinion while you respect that person's opinion for being different. Rich and I will not see eye to eye on McGuire. I can guarantee you that we'll have a difference of opinion, but we're not going to say the other person is wrong. And for him to tweet that out, I thought was really cool. And I appreciate it. And I did mention or did wish him a happy Mother's Day as the mother of our show, not the grandfather.
He's an uncle, grandfather, mother. I have to disagree with you on the rookie card from McGuire because that card's 366, right? The 87 tops.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I think his rated rookie card is a lower number in Donruss, so that would become before it. So that therefore is his true rookie card.
Well, which one got released?
It doesn't matter. It's
That's
got a lower
true,
number.
yeah. But that's a good argument and discussion we have Rich on.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be great. We're gonna do a standalone show for that. Trust me.
We are. He is such a great guy, and he's probably one of the people that we would put on the Mount Rushmore, on the very short list of people that would be the Mount Rushmore of people in our hobby as far as knowledge goes. And I've got nothing but respect for the man. Although I do think that he should have caught the last 22 minutes of tonight's show, or any night for that matter.
So Nick, give us where we can find you one more time before we head out tonight.
Website's nickwasika.com. The Twitter, social media handles, Twitter, Instagram, it's at Nick_Wasika, WOSIKA, and then just Nick Wasika on YouTube.
Awesome. And we'll share all those as well tonight from our handle at About the Cards. So remember, we're live every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific, 10 Central on YouTube. Make sure to subscribe and review our show on all platforms. Follow us on Twitter at About the Cards. Follow Ben at Our Trading Cards. Follow Steph at Junkwax Twins. And always follow me at Big Shep 79. And then keep sharing your hobby stories, great polls, and send your questions our way. Keep collecting. And guys, have a great night. Guys and gals, we'll talk to you next week.
Yep. Talk to you guys then.